The Colorado Rockies finished 2024 as the second worst team in all of baseball, but it wasn't a completely lost season. The team had multiple breakout performances, and there might finally be some light at the end of the rebuild tunnel. And today we'll be previewing all of that and just how far the new studs on the block will take the 2025 Rockies. While the players showed promise on the field, the front office still isn't quite believing in this young core and had a relatively quiet offseason, only adding utility man Kyle Farmer coming off a poor season in Minnesota as well as Tyro Estrada to fill in at second base. Both signings are relatively low risk, decent reward, and if either player is performing well, you can imagine they will become trade chips quickly. As for players leaving the team, it's again a fairly minimal impact on the team with Cal Quantrill, Brendan Rodgers, and Charlie Blackmon all finding their way off the team either through free agency or retirement. Quantrill and Rodgers never quite hit the potential that they showed, and their impact was minimal. That brings the current projected roster to Jacob Stallings behind the dish, Michael Toglia at first, Tyro Estrada at second, Tovar at short, and Ryan McMahon at third. Nolan Jones is projected to start in left with Doyle in center, Hillard in right with Chris Bryant at DH. Hunter Goodman, Kyle Farmer, Jordan Beck, and Greg Jones round out the positional players. As you can see by the Zips projections, there are a few positions that are less than stellar, with 5 out of the 10 positions being projected to finish dead last in total value added in the major leagues. Unfortunately for the pitching side of things, they aren't projected to be much better, with a rotation currently projected as Herman Marquez, Ryan Feltner, Kyle Freeland, Antonio Senzazella, and Austin Gomber, which is supposed to finish 28th in the league in value added, with the bullpen close behind in 29th. Luckily for the Rockies, they do have players in place that could perform well above their projected value, starting at catcher with Drew Romo. Romo got his first cup of coffee in the majors last season and didn't look overwhelmingly great in his brief 16-game stint. Romo's concerns will always come with the bat as he is a rock solid defensive catcher. He's good enough behind the dish that if he can bring anywhere close to the level that he was at AAA with the stick to the major leagues, he'll become a very solid catcher quickly, especially better than 30th in terms of value. Another player at one of the positions that the team is projected to struggle at is Michael Toglia. Toglia last season posted a 2.2 WAR with 25 bombs and 55 RBIs. His under the hood stats look great, and I'm failing to see how the Rockies won't finish better than 30th at the position. Toglia is a sneaky name to keep in the memory bank to break out in a big way in 2025. Another player who could break out for the Rockies in 2025 is Jordan Beck, who lost his prospect status last season. Similarly to Romo, those entry set of games didn't go very well, and it'll be hard for Beck to break through that sneaky good Rockies outfield. However, just last season, this same player had a 960 OPS in AAA and looked like one of the highest rising prospects in baseball. So if he can rekindle that form, it'll do wonders to keep him ahead of the other outfielders on the way from this Rocky system. However, before we can get to the outfielders coming through the system, we have to talk about Chase Dolander, who should make the majors towards the middle to latter half of the season. The ninth overall pick from the 2023 draft posted great results across single and double A in 2024 and crested over that 100 inning mark, which is a great sign for a young pitcher. He'll get a big test in AAA this season in Albuquerque, and if he can pass that with flying colors, we should see the right-hander earlier in 2025. Then in the outfield, the Rockies have another couple prospects on the rise, starting with Zach Veen. He reached AAA last season, but a bit of his pedigree fell off there after posting mediocre numbers offensively. Health also remains a concern for Veen, as he has barely crested 100 games across the last 2 seasons, but if he can get back to being healthy, he should be due to make the majors in 2025. And the final prospect that could reach the majors for the Rockies in 2025 is Yanko Fernandez, another corner outfield prospect that lost a bit of his pedigree after a poor stint in AAA, and that could very well delay his 2025 debut. The power was not on the same level as years prior, and is a prospect trending in the wrong direction. Hopefully, he can turn it around and crack the major league roster at some point during the season, but it'll be difficult with the team's depth at the position. For potential trade chips, this team has a couple of key pieces that could fetch a decent return, starting with Herman Marquez, who's had his name circled a few times at previous deadlines, but Drummond sits in the last year of his contract, and if he can finally prove that he's healthy, you can imagine he will find his name on the trade block once again. And the same goes for fellow starter Austin Gomber. Gomber probably doesn't have the ceiling that Marquez does, but he should still be dealt at the deadline, assuming he's healthy and not having a terrible season. And that brings us to the overall team predictions for the season. All in all, this team should be much improved from last year, so the floor should be pretty similar to where they finished last year from my perspective. So let's have the floor be at 60 and 102. For the ceiling, this team could finish as one of the more exciting teams on the precipice of turning the corner of being a solid team, and for that, this ceiling of this team will land at 74 wins and 88 losses. For actuality, I'm a bit of a believer in this team, and I'll have them finishing closer to the ceiling at 69 wins, nice, and 93 losses. And that's going to do it for the video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and have a great day.